It's Quest.
The Adventure Game Podcast.
You know, I'm glad I came up with something towards because I was just like, am I just gonna let this just keep going and not do anything? But no.
What happens? Does it loop? Are we stuck here
Well,
forever? Are we trapped like a genie's curse?
I mean, I could make it loop like our like our email tune or our what's playing tune, but no, it will end. One day there will be a podcast where you hear let's see how long that is.
19 minutes.
Yeah, it is 2 minutes and 7 seconds.
I wonder how far we made it today. Listeners, write in questquestpodcast.com. Get your stopwatches out and tell us how long the theme song lasted this week.
Yeah, let us know. Jess, you and I were talking right before this about Oreo flavors.
Oreo flavors. And Ben, I think you and I, it turns out, are of a similar mind about this. Because, first of all, let's just get cards on the table. Oreos are good cookies.
Yeah.
No question. I mean, I don't know what's wrong with you if you think Oreos aren't good cookies. I believe Oreos are also vegan, which is upsetting.
I think that's like one of those things where they are vegan, but I don't know if all of them are vegan, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Like,
Weirdly,
the thing is,
they're vegan, but not cruelty free. And I don't exactly understand how that works. So that's upsetting.
So, okay. We're aligned. We both agree that your classic Oreo, your basic Oreo, is the superior Oreo. Though I stand with, and I count this as this. You might go like Benjamin. No. I believe that like a double stuff is your definitive, like is your actual canonical Oreo.
Mm-hmm. Well, Ben, I don't want to turn conspiracy theorist on you, but I believe, and I believe this in my heart of hearts, I'm a truther when it comes to this. I believe today's double stuffed Oreo is actually closer to yesterday's 1.5 stuffed Oreo. I do not think a double stuffed Oreo has as much cream.
Oh,
in
you
the
think
middle.
That double stuffs have become less
stuffed?
Double,
I think that a regular Oreo is a 0.75 stuffed now.
Wow.
And a double stuffed is a 1.5 stuffed Oreo. I can't prove that, but let me tell you, as a kid, I would get a double stuffed Oreo. I'd be like, oh, this is too much cream. This is a creme. This is
yeah, you
I
can't say
handle
cream. Remember, it's vegan.
That's right. Creme. Too much creme.
Creme is vegan. Cream is not vegan.
That suggests,
cream comes from a cow.
Some sort of mammals involved in cream. Yeah.
Creme comes from a cow with an accent aigu on top, but it's not really a cow.
That's right. But no, like when I was a kid, I'd get a double stuffed, and I'd be like, oh, this is too much. I want my cookie to creme ratio is all off. But today I get a double stuffed, and I'm like, this is perfect. This is the Oreo I want. And you have to assume that the relationship should be the opposite. Like as a kid, I should be willing to eat the way too much cream, way too sweet Oreo happily. And as an adult, I would mature to a less stuffed Oreo. But the fact that I can eat a double stuffed today makes me think a double stuffed is less stuffed than it used to be. Comments?
I'm sure there's someone that's done, like, look this up. I was shocked. I'm looking at Wikipedia right now. And what year did the double stuffed Oreo debut?
1984.
You're off by 10 years.
Oh, 1974. See, I was joking when I said 74. That's unbelievable.
84, yeah.
When did Oreos debut?
This is hold on. Let's take a look here.
It doesn't mention that.
Oreos were introduced March 6th, 1912.
Wow.
So
now, do they have an upsetting history like they were supposed to stop people from masturbating or anything? I assume all delicious crackers and cookies at some level are about a puritanical quest to end self-pleasure.
Yeah, it was determined, they were created to prevent masturbation. The double stuff, it looks oh, well, all right. So here we go. Uh, under varieties in Wikipedia, in addition to the traditional design of two chocolate wafers separated by a creme, and I'll note it does have accent rav over the e. A creme filling. Oreo cookies have been produced in a multitude of different varieties since first introduced. This list is only a guide to some of the more notable and popular types. Which I just wanted to
Hmm.
read that because I just like the idea of, notable popular types. The um anyway, I uh I was looking here and I did want to note that I there is the birthday cake Oreo.
Yes. Is that on a yellow cookie?
That's a yellow cookie with like the that cupcake frosting flavor. And
Mm.
so my question for you is, and I wonder if this is not like, I wonder if our friends in the rest of the world, that do they enjoy the remarkable variety of Oreos that we Americans have?
I hope so.
Yeah,
I would
I
hate to
hope
think that's
so.
something that we have, kept to ourselves.
But
It'd be a
anyway.
shame if some part of American culture hadn't been exported to the entire world.
Yeah, you know what, Jess, you're right.
It'd be a real oversight.
Yeah, in
How'd we miss that one?
but anyway, I just wanted
Actually,
to ask.
I looked this up about international Oreos, and it turns out uh, in Soviet Russia, Oreo double stuffs you. Is that a thing? Is it? Is
All
do
right,
people still
well,
make those
okay.
great jokes?
uh I want to put a pin. Let's remember we're going to return to birthday cake flavor. I
Yes,
just
this
want
is
to note
important.
that I feel like I'm getting the most targeted advertisement right now, which is I'm getting an advertisement for Culver's, which I don't believe you have Culver's. But you've been to a
Oh, I
Culver's,
know
right?
Culver's. Yeah, we are close enough to Culver's. I can get to Lexington, Kentucky in like an
Okay.
hour and a half and enjoy some delicious frozen custard.
So that is a Midwestern American fast food chain which does custard and butter burgers,
Butter burgers, yes, butter
which is
burgers.
like
What it
what
sounds like.
to say to people listen. It's like they'd go like, yeah, of course you're gonna put butter on a burger.
Yeah,
But I'm
you
getting a
know how when
targeted advertisement.
you're eating burgers, and you're like, this feels a little too healthy. I'm
Yeah,
afraid there's not enough like cholesterol and fat in this. It's like
right.
butter solves that.
Yeah.
It's like putting butter in your coffee. Butter's healthy everywhere.
But anyway, I just wanted to say that I'm getting an advertisement for Culver's specifically that just says make room for dessert. Today's flavor is dark chocolate peanut butter uh custard, and I'm just like
You should go to
by the
Culver's.
time we're done recording, Culver's is going to be closed.
Ah,
And
do you think?
also there's like I don't live that far from like an independently owned custard place, which is excellent. Um,
I like indie custard.
yeah, indie
Mainstream
custard.
custard, yeah, yeah, corporate custard. Ugh.
Yeah, corporate those corpos with their custard. Anyway, where are you on birthday cake flavor? Because I was explaining before we were on the air, I was talking to Jess about how in 2020 one of my little treats to myself is we were dealing with all the 2020 of it all was that every week I would get a different flavor of Oreos and just to kind of test it out and landed on that the boring old Oreos are the best ones. But
Objectively correct.
Where do you land on birthday cake flavor?
Well, first of all, I think it's a lie if you eat them on any day other than your birthday, so that's not okay.
Hmm.
But beyond that, let me tell you my general opinion on any Oreo that has like the white or yellow cakey kind of cookie with it. I
Right.
believe that if you aren't dealing with the classic chocolate Oreo, almost without exception, they are too sweet. I feel like
Yes.
the cocoa powder in the classic, brown or black Oreo cookie is needed to balance out the sweetness of the creme. Otherwise, it's just sweet on sweet, and it is too much for me.
Jess, can I break in with news about another advertisement I'm being served on this page? I'm gonna close it. Beep, 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 beep. So it's moved on from that advertisement for Culver's, and then later an advertisement just for Sargento cheese. And now it's an advertisement for Ozempic. So
Oh no, that seems mean. Why do I just keep getting ads for ED drugs? I've been talking about Oreos too. Where are my Oreo ads?
Remember that guy that was like on Twitter? He's like, look at this. It's a sign of the degeneracy of today. I went to like the New York Times website or whatever, and all I get is ads for gay cruises.
I was trying to remember exactly what it was, and I hit on the cruises right when you did. It's like, how weird. I don't know what this is of
I
all
keep
things.
getting all these ads for gay cruises. The New York Times, or I don't know if it was the New York Times. It was just
It was
some like
something like that.
they're
Why would I go to
a
Meineke
sign of the
Mufflers?
degeneracy. It's like, bro, your cookies. And speaking of cookies, so where do you land on birthday cake Oreos?
Too sweet. Too sweet.
Yeah.
Ben, are you in the same camp? Too sweet?
Yeah, well,
Too sweet.
too sweet. Here's where I land on those, which is also it's like actually this is my case, like my take on like 90% of non-normal Oreos, which is to say the first cookie or two, I'll be like, pretty good. And then by cookie three, I'll just be like, this is just too
Ugh.
sweet. It's just too sweet. But like it gets you on the first, and that's how I am with like birthday cake Oreos or birthday cake flavor, is that it's like up front I'm a fan, and then towards the end, like or in the middle, like it's essentially that I could just eat and eat and eat Oreos.
Well, that's the thing. I was going to say any Oreo flavor that you don't at least have the thought that I should eat an entire row from this package. Like, whether you do it or not, part of you should be like, I could totally dust off that entire row or column or whatever and, just seal this little baby back up and do it again tomorrow. If you aren't thinking that, something's gone wrong with the flavor, because a regular Oreo, you take one, you're like, yeah, I could eat the next 12 or whatever it is that makes up this column of Oreos.
Where
That's one
are
serving size in
and
America.
where are you on Girl Scout cookies? Are you a Girl Scout cookie? Well, first off, you have a girl. Is she a Girl Scout?
She went to one Girl Scout
I think
meeting.
I knew this.
Yeah, and noped out of it real fast. Like the
Right.
idea, everything the Girl Scouts did, I think, was anathema to who she was. Like being outside, crafts, helping the community, all those sorts of things are things she does not believe in at all. Like archery was somewhat appealing, but
Oh, archery was fun.
yeah, but I think beyond that, no, nothing more.
I
But I do. One of her close friends, or one of her best friends, is a Girl Scout,
So you get the
and
cookies from her?
we have a cookie supplier
Yeah.
that lives just down the street. So my wife is a big Thin Mints fan, and I will say a
I
Thin
hear
Mint out
those
of
are
the
great if
freezer.
you freeze them.
That's the
Yeah,
thing. Out of
yeah.
the freezer, they're really special. But chocolate mint isn't my go-to.
Nope.
I'm a weirdo, and I know these go by a couple of different names. The one I know them by is the Samoas,
Yeah,
the caramel
that's not a
coconut.
weird. That I think those are considered them. Like I think Thin Mints and Samoas are the two tops.
But I guess both of them are potentially just total deal breakers. There are people who do not want chocolate mint and people who hate coconut.
Yeah.
But for me, yeah, the coconut caramel chocolate is absolutely where it's at. That was my Girl Scout cookie as a kid and continues to be on through today. Ben, how about you? Where are you at on the Girl Scout
So when
cookies?
I was a kid, I liked Thin Mints, and I loved the cookie that was a Thin Mint, except instead of mint, it was peanut butter. Is that a tag along?
Yeah, I think so.
But now, you know, when I was a child, I played with childish things.
Yeah, you spake like a child. I remember.
And now it is time for me to put aside childish things and enjoy a much more sophisticated and adult cookie, which is to say a Samoa.
Yeah, I mean that
Because
is an
that has
adult
a
cookie.
much more complicated
Mhm.
flavor, has a variety of textures. That is a great cookie. Um, yeah. And
Ben,
then
can
I
I
get a
give
couple of the
you?
other ones, like all the weird ones. I'll get 2 boxes of like from my Girl Scout cookie hookup. Uh I I'll get 2 boxes of Samoas, and then I'll look through the sheet and go like, what are like the weird new ones?
Yeah, it
Uh
is important to always get like one box of Girl Scout cookies you don't plan to enjoy. Like I
right.
feel like you get your favorites, and then you're like, I'm going to get this one that I'm absolutely not going to like. I know one of the newer ones that I kind of did like that I tried. I think the year before last, lemon ups.
Oh,
Uh,
yeah. Are those like the glazed lemon ones?
yeah, and
Those are good.
they have
Yeah.
inspirational messages on the cookie, which makes me feel good. I like getting a cookie out that says like I'm a go getter on it because I am a go getter, Ben, and sometimes I
I
need to be reminded of that.
let me look here because I'm Adventurefuls.
Oh man,
I
that should be the official cookie of Quest. What's an
Yeah, you know what?
adventureful?
I'm gonna call it. They
Oh
are.
man, oh
They're
wow, what we
the
got going on here?
Adventurefuls are quote indulgent brownie inspired cookies topped with a caramel flavored creme with a hint of sea salt. Pretty good. Pretty
I
good.
don't know. I don't love the salted caramel thing.
Oh, you're
I'm not a
not.
salty sweet
Oh,
guy. I
I'm
mean,
gonna tell you. I'm gonna tell you. You don't even notice it. It is
okay.
very light on the salt.
You're saying this isn't a terribly challenging Girl Scout
No,
cookie. It's not really pushing the
it's pretty
boundaries.
good. I also got this time around. I got the Girl Scout s'mores. Pretty good.
Yeah.
Pretty good. You know, it's a standard. That one feels like they're like that felt like a cookie I'd had before. You know what it tasted like? It tasted like a s'more Pop Tart. So if you
Wow.
like a
That's a good. I mean, that's not a
s'more
bad
Pop
thing.
Tart,
Yeah.
then you'll like the Girl Scout s'mores cookies. And then I got lemon ups. Sometimes I'll get the toffee tastic, which is a gluten free. I love it. See,
Hmm.
I love a toffee cookie. That's
Yeah.
my family, my proud family cookie. Like if my mom is making cookies like to bring to like the bake sale,
Hmm.
toffee cookies. She has a
Wow.
recipe and
If
like
my mom was making cookies, they'd be tough cookies, as in tough cookies, make your own.
yeah. Well, I feel like we've
I saw frozen s'mores today at Target. And what's up with that? Who needs frozen s'mores?
now hold on. Were they s'mores that
Pre-assembled.
were frozen, or were they s'mores that were
S'mores.
branded? Were they s'mores that
S'mosen.
were were they s'mores that were branded as frozen, that were
They
also
were in the
frozen?
freezer section of fully assembled s'mores, ready to be microwaved, I suppose, to become hot.
S'mores. I
Maybe they had ice cream in them. I don't know.
I can't.
I don't know. I don't like s'mores already. They're too messy. Too messy to enjoy. That is my official ruling on s'mores.
I don't disagree with that. I like s'mores. The only context that I enjoy a s'more in is
A good s'morein.
is a campfire and a good s'more. Also, but I like them more in theory. But Jess, I think you and I might be aligned here, which is I don't like to get shit on my hands.
Or yeah, I don't like to get shut by hands. I don't want to ruin my shirt either. Like I go
Yeah.
through life thinking
Well,
I don't want to
ruined.
look like a sloppy boy. I don't like I have like a lot of concern about especially unknowingly going through a day being a sloppy boy.
I just bought a pair of yellow pants,
Oh
and
man, Ben.
I'm just like, why did I spend this money on a pair of pants that is just immediately going to be like just permanently ruined? Like when I like spill coffee or spill pretty much anything
Yeah.
on it, like it is it's terrible. My
A
little
few
brother
years ago, I bought a pair of white linen pants.
Yeah.
And I still have them because they've been hanging in my closet because
wear
I'm
them.
terrified to wear
Right.
them.
Was that when you were going through your Tom Wolfe phase? You were like,
It absolutely was. That was what I was trying to. I do start every school year deciding I'm going to have like a new like wardrobe persona. Like this year, I'm going to be
love
like
this.
I'm going to be like sweater vest Jess, and I roll in. I teach like the first few weeks of the semester in sweater vests, and then I'm like, God, sweater vests suck, and then I lose them. And then the next year, I'm like, what if I am, like Oxford shirt and a tie, Jess, and that lasts for a few weeks, and I'm like, ties suck.
I've seen you in a tie, and I don't think I've ever seen you more uncomfortable.
No. It's not
like
it's
the
not how
last
I should be.
time we were in person hanging out together. You were coming from a conference, and you.
I
were
don't think I was in a
tie.
tie. I think I was just in a sports coat, and that alone was enough from the Shaquille O'Neal collection. But I think that was enough. I mean, I think I emotionally had a necktie on. I feel like I was like, but you could tell that I don't belong like that. That's not me. That's not me.
All right. But you know,
I've been wondering, Ben.
Yeah, what have you been wondering?
You'll never guess.
I'm just going to transition, but I know that I have to be the one to go first.
Yeah, no, we discussed this extensively.
Yeah.
So Ben, I guess the question I want to ask is, what have you been playing?
Well, Jess.
Very smooth, very natural.
Yeah. Well, Jess, what I've been playing is I recently have been playing a bit of Northgard. Have you heard of this? Northgard?
No, I don't think so.
North Gard. It's been out for a while.
Okay, that name is kind of familiar. I'm looking at it now,
and you're like, I've seen this. Like, you're probably looking at it and going like, I've scrolled past this during a Steam sale.
Yes, it looks like it is going a kind of game that would be very on sale at any given minute.
So this is a game I've been playing it for years. It looks like there's an unpopular new update because I see recent reviews mixed. Haven't messed around with the new update stuff. I just play it with a friend of mine, maybe sometimes two friends of mine. It is a real-time strategy game where you build like a little like Viking settlement, and there's, I think in the base game, probably like 6 or 8 like Viking clans to pick from, and now there's like a ton, like it's just been DLCing. This game came out in 2018. They're still putting out like new clans every 6 months or whatever.
Yeah, that's what I'm seeing here in Google Images is a series of clan release key art.
Yeah. And it's a lot of fun because I play these people. This is Shiro Games, They also made the Dune, the new Dune strategy game, not Westwood's Dune strategy game.
So are we looking at like real-time strategy here? Or is this more like a city builder?
It's real-time strategy, and it has like combat. It kind of looks in action like the graphic style to me kind of suggests a Warcraft 3.
Yeah,
like
it's somewhere between like a Warcraft 3 and maybe like Age of Empires from looking at some screenshots, maybe?
I would say it's more on kind of that 3D kind of cartoonish a little bit.
Yeah.
But what I have a lot of fun playing this game, so I play it with my friend James, and he's better at the game. We play co-op, and he just pretty much beats the game, and I just like slowly build like a little Viking town, and then it goes victory because he hit.
Oh man, I love that. That's the way to play an RTS cooperatively.
He met one of the victory conditions, and I'm like, hooray, we did it.
I hate building an army in games like that. I just want to make a cute little village and harvest resources. I don't want to build barracks.
Yeah. Like, and I'm exaggerating, but only a little bit. Just a little bit. Like, it pretty much is him playing and beating the game, and I'm just like kind of like he knows all of the clans. I have one DLC clan that I just play. I'm like, I'm not learning any of these other clans.
Well, you know, just a few weeks ago, I streamed a couple of hours of Command and Conquer Red Alert 3, and I discovered that my old man brain can't handle a fast-paced RTS anymore. Like, I used to enjoy, you know, early. I played a lot of Warcraft. I played a lot of Total Annihilation. The sensory overload of Red Alert 3, which I suspect is a little more crazy than the average
that's by
RTS.
Design. Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. It's supposed to be an over-the-top. I think that's sort of what the Red Alert spin-off series is all about. But yeah, this one does look pretty charming.
It's very charming. I think when it goes, because at this point they have so much DLC that I think, like, when the Steam sale hits in like a couple weeks, you'll probably like be able to get the base game, which is very like perfectly good for a pretty good deal. But yeah, like it's just kind of like, I just have a pleasant time playing it. We also play it on easy. Like, you know, we're not even messing around. Like, we're just putting it on easy. I just have like a nice little build order, a nice little strategy that I do, and I have a nice little time when I make my little village. And meanwhile, like, I'll like scroll over and see James's town, and he's like already expanded like super big. You know what actually this reminds me of is a couple years back, I think it was Age of Empires 4, like Microsoft Game Studios or Ensemble or whoever it is that makes that, put out like the new Age of Empires, but it was essentially just like a sequel to Age of Empires 2. Because Age of Empires 1 was Roman times, and 3 was like kind of Age of Exploration, like colonial era.
Yeah.
So this was just Age of Empires 2, or maybe it was like it's been so long. Anyway,
it's hard to say.
I was so excited the whole day. I watched like a video, like a YouTube video about build orders. I was like really trying to get into it. And I play it against my buddy, not James, a different friend. And
wow, you brag about all these friends, I feel like.
Yeah, and then he like Zerg rushes me in 5 minutes and the game's over. And I like was like, all right, I'm not playing this anymore. And I deleted the game. And that was that. Like, I was just like, you just totally rained on my parade. Like, I was just I spent the whole day so excited about this. And then he just like knocked over my sandcastle in 2 seconds.
That was how co-op Warcraft 2 with my buddy JP ended one summer. We were both home from college. and we would dial into our modems and play. And it took 2 or 3 Zerg rushes before I'm like, you know what? I don't want to play Warcraft 2 with you anymore. Forget this. And yeah, that's just not cool. It's just not cool, man. Just not cool, man.
Anyway, it's hard for me to believe that RTSs were once like the killer genre.
It is.
Isn't that crazy?
Odd. It feels so niche at some level. I mean, I think it's a great genre that you could do neat stuff with. But yeah, the idea that this was like at some level, you know, like up there with first-person shooters in terms of the sort of things that would be like big, exciting cover stories on gaming magazines. Of, you know, it's like, oh man, the new Total Annihilation's coming out and it's got destructible environments. Total Annihilation was pretty good though.
Never played Total Annihilation.
It's fine.
All right, well, you heard it here. Jess, what? Oh, hold on.
Wow.
Jess, what have you been playing?
Well, Ben, I've been playing the latest masterpiece in fantasy storytelling from Lucasfilm's Brian Moriarty. I've been playing Loom. And that's what we're going to talk about today. So kill the music.
No, we're just going to keep it for the rest of the podcast.
I can't handle it. No, I mean, this one's hot off the presses in the sense that as we record this, I just played and streamed Loom for the first time ever last night. I played it start to finish. I'd never played through Loom before beyond just the short demo that LucasArts released. And I was so caught up in the Loom experience. Ben had all these great ideas of what we we're going to talk about today. He had pitches for some of the best episodes imaginable. And I said, no, I want to talk about Loom. And Ben threw all of them out because he respects me that much. Ben, over to you.
You know, the funny thing is I realized that I had that list of co-op games I was going to follow up on that email with, but we're not going to read those.
No.
That's for next time now. That's getting
No,
bumped
man.
again.
A teaser bumped. See you later, list of games.
So,
but Loom.
Okay. Jess, I didn't watch your stream all the way to the end last night. How far did you make it?
I completed the game.
You beat the game.
It.
Okay.
I beat the game in like 2 hours and 15 minutes. I haven't checked to see yet if that's a world record, but I assume it's got to at least be on the leaderboard.
Yeah, I would say so. Loom is typically a 6-hour game for most players. So
well, it's so hard. It's so hard. The arcade sequences got me.
Yeah. And well, and there's that poker sequence. You must have gotten really good RNG.
It's so hard to play poker with musical notes. Like it's such an extrapolation of like the poker mechanic to like figure out, you know, okay, what series of notes do I use to discard a 2 of hearts? And yeah, it really slowed me down. It was like Monkey Combat all over again.
Anyway, okay. Setting the table. Loom comes out in 1990. It's the game that follows Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade. It's followed by Secret of Monkey Island, which, you know, of those 2 games that Lucasfilm Games put out that year, that was obviously the one that dictated, oh, this is how we're going to make all of our games from now on.
Absolutely. I mean, you can see, I mean, there's clearly a common DNA. There's some, you know, Monkey Island-esque moments in Loom. But yeah, it's Monkey Island that captures everybody's attention.
Yeah.
And Loom is sort of an interesting story on the side of this meteoric rise to prominence for LucasArts.
So Loom is a game where before we even get into the plot, it has a very interesting, like, it throws away the traditional interface of like the Scum games to that point and the following Scum games, which is that it replaces all of the verbs, like, and there's only one inventory item, and it is that you cast spells which are all 4-note little tunes.
Yeah, 4 musical notes that essentially serve as your verbs in this game. Yeah, inventory's gone. Traditional verbs are gone. Instead, if you need to open a locked door, you play the series of 4 musical notes on your staff, your distaff, that are required to open that door. So, in that sense, I mean, I don't know if we were using this term back in 1990, but I feel like in a lot of ways, Loom is kind of an experimental game within the genre. I mean, I think that this is a pretty wild departure from what you expect from an adventure game at that time.
Loom is a game that would have been a hot indie darling if it came out in 2009.
Oh man, yeah, it would have.
Unfortunately, it was 19 years too early, and people spent, 50 or whatever you spent, 50 $1990 on it,
Yes,
and were furious that they
yeah,
completed it in
but
2 hours.
because it is really easy. I mean, it would be hard to go through this game and take much more than I would imagine 3 or 4 hours tops to finish it. If you're really like having just like really enjoying the scenery, and boy, it's beautiful scenery.
It is. I mean, so yeah, so you interact only with spells that are 4 note tunes. The music is all Swan Lake, which also it like takes like kind of like ideas from a little bit in its
Yeah,
storytelling. Like there's swans and shit in it. That's what I'm
there's
saying.
tons of swans. There's
There's a
swans
lot of
everywhere.
swans. Um but the game is that you're bobbing. It's kind of a, a young man gets a call to action. You're a mysterious orphan. Like for such a unique and strange game, I think, and this is very much by like I think this is intentional, is that it gives you a very kind of standard hero narrative. Like it's like, okay, you are at the cusp of like, manhood. You're like a teenage boy
A
that
new age is dawning.
that is pulled kind of reluctantly into like this grand adventure that takes you from like your small secluded island across the world to meet like people and fight a great evil and meet
Yeah,
a dragon.
and blow up the
And
Death Star.
yeah, like it has a very standard hero's journey. It just, the game itself is very like experimental in how it has music, like how it uses its music, how it uses like, the spell casting, and like the construction of the world. You can tell it was by Brian Moriarty, who came from Infocom. This was his first and only completed project at Lucas, and it does have a little bit of like the weirdness that an Infocom original would have. An Infocom original was usually a little jokier in the way
Hmm.
that a lot of adventure games are, but like a lot of those Infocom games like had and like we're really good about like creating these slightly off kilter and original like fantasy worlds. Like even the world of Zork
Yeah, it's not
is
by the
pretty
numbers.
strange
Yeah,
in ways.
you know, I'm just realizing, looking around at some Google images, how similar the cover art for Wishbringer is to the cover art for Loom, with a couple of hands, like, you know, bending some light along the way. So
Yeah.
this is Brian Moriarty loved hands,
Yeah, he was
real hand guy.
yeah. He loved pissing off artists.
Hey,
Draw
Steve
draw some
Purcell, draw me
hands
some
for me.
hands. No, but yeah, this one is, a curious world. Yeah, you mentioned earlier you are Bobbin Threadbare. You're this young man, mysterious family origin. You're a member of the Weavers Guild, and suddenly the third age of darkness has befallen the land, and you're off on a quest to basically hold all of reality together at some level. How
Yeah.
you do that by playing music, playing little ditties.
Yeah. Um, let's talk a little bit about the art, which is spectacular.
Stunning. And I think probably, I'm guessing most of our listeners already know this is the correct answer, but Loom is a game meant to be played in its original 16 color EGA
Yes.
version. There's a
Yes.
VGA version later with full voices and I think a
Which
digital
are cut
soundtrack.
down. They cut down the dialogue, like,
Yes.
because I think, I could be wrong. I believe that the audio they recorded as CD tracks, so they
Yes.
didn't have the space, I
Mm.
believe is the
And
case. I
this is
could be wrong.
also like a sparsely written game to begin with. Cutting down the dialogue a lot further is really a questionable choice. But yeah, the 16 color looks gorgeous. It is so moody. It is so dreamlike and evocative. The night scenes are just all a palette of blacks and blues, much like, I mean, it reminds me a lot of Melee Island
Yes.
in the 16 color version of Secret of Monkey Island, which again I would say arguably is the definitive version of Secret of Monkey Island as well.
The VGA version of Secret of Monkey Island gets away with it. Like, of all of the, like, the VGA, like the 256 color uh versions that Lucas did during that transition,
Hmm.
Secret of Monkey Island is the one that looks the best.
I would
And
agree.
like
Yeah, definitely.
like uh there's less, like, if you tell people, like, it's, I'm gonna stream Loom and I'm gonna stream it, like, stream the version that when you buy it off of Steam or even GOG, I think.
Hmm.
Like, and it's the 256 color one, everyone is just gonna, like, scream at you. No!
Oh yeah, people get mad. Like that was the first thing people asked when they popped into my stream last night as I streamed this was what version of this you playing? Like it was really a litmus test right away. If you're playing the wrong version, I may not stick around and watch this garbage.
I think the next version of it that people are, like, okay with
Hmm.
is the FM Towns version.
Yes.
But even then, I don't, because I think, like, so I'm looking at, like, screenshots of the FM Towns version and it looks fine. But I think that there is uh like it the original, like, the 16 color version, like, makes a meal out of its limitations. And uh I was talking to Grayson about this earlier, is that I think, like, the difference between, like, those Lucas, like, transition ones, like, Monkey Island 16 and Monkey Island 256, Loom 16, et cetera, Indiana Jones, is, like, the difference between those and, like, let's say, like, the Sierra VGA versions, because he brought that up
Hmm.
when I said that. He's like, well, there's, like, the Sierra ones and those, but these are all, like, these Lucas ones are all, like, just, they took the original and just painted over it and
Paint
just
over it.
added
Yeah, I
more
mean,
colors.
yes,
And
which seldom makes it better.
no, like, it's just like, the original is just what it was drawn and meant to look like. And then it's just like, all right, well, I guess we can add more colors. And I think the biggest crimes for me when I look at like comparisons is that there are a lot of scenes which totally like suffice with black.
Yes. And that's because they were drawn with the assumption that they had this limited palette
Yeah.
and that black was there for a reason. These scenes were laid out and composed the way they are to make the most of this limited palette. And as a result, when you just go in, it's like, well, we can paint a lot of stuff into those dark spaces.
Yeah.
Doesn't make it any better. It's
No.
like if you had all that limited palette, then you wouldn't have needed to have arranged this scene this way in the first place. But this is all known. This is all settled. We all know 16 colors
This
the way to
is
go.
settled law.
Yeah, if you aren't going to play the 16 color version, you want to play the TurboGrafx 16 version,
Yeah. You
which
want
of
to
course
play
has
the
Bonk in it.
It also adds like it also has a level where you're in a rocket ship and
Yeah,
like you yeah.
yeah, that's much better. Yeah, I mean it's
As a
fun
shmup
watching.
segment. Yeah.
Yeah, watching Bobbin square off against Bonk with his big swollen head. It's just good. I mean, they are like sort of from the same cloth at some level in the sense Bobbin solves everything with his staff, and Bonk just hits shit with his head.
Yeah.
That's how he solves puzzles.
Yeah, essentially if you have a character that just does one thing, they're all the same. Now so the one of the other cool things about the game is that it came with a really great manual that like you were urged to, and this is what I did. Like it was the book of patterns. It had all of the spells plus a bunch of red herrings, spells that you
Mm-hmm.
do not learn or use during the game, which as a kid I would just like read that and be like, oh wow, I wonder what incredible, like what's this
God, as a
spell do?
kid, that sort of stuff would just like open the door to my imagination. Just
Right.
imagining all these parts that I mean, it's the same way that like in a King's Quest game, you can't do that, at least not now. Just as a kid, I literally took that. It's like, there's a time when I will be able to do this. I just have to simply wait until that moment is upon
I'm
me.
waiting for
Yeah.
the yeah, I'm just waiting for the day.
Yeah. I mean, the Quest for Glory manuals had a lot of that too. Like I always thought the Famous Adventures Correspondence School would have flavor text that I would read as a kid and things like, oh, that's telling me I'm going to have to fight a dragon in this one. And I never did until Quest for Glory 5, and it was
Great.
disappointing.
Oh.
Great.
That was just kind of tedious, wasn't it? Fighting that
It was.
fucking dragon.
Man,
And
dragons.
then you get a wet fart of an ending if you didn't do it right, which is what I did.
Yeah.
Anyway, uh
Don't worry. We have a great Quest for Glory 5 podcast planned for 2027. Stay tuned.
now yeah, it had like it just kind of filled you in on the world, and then like I think a gesture towards making it a longer, like trying to get a little more meat on the bone of the game, is that the spells are kind of randomized. And also, there are 3 levels of difficulty with the spells. Did you play on beginner or did you play on
I played on
intermediate?
standard.
On standard.
Yeah, so that meant I honestly don't know what beginner is, and I heard what the difficult level is, but for me, I would hear a 4 note pattern for all of these spells and see those notes light up on my staff, which made it very easy just to jot down their combination. And then, of course, I think something we didn't mention for most of these spells, you can also play them backwards to have the opposite result. So
Oh, so
if
great.
open was ECED, you could simply play that backwards, DECE,
E
and
C E E do do
yeah,
do 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 do. Yeah.
yeah, and it would close something instead. So that's brilliant. I mean, that's really good stuff. But yeah, tell me about the easy mode and the hard mode.
Well, easy mode, it just straight up like it not only highlights the spot on your distaff, but it will also just write down what the spell is. It will just
Oh,
show you the letters at the bottom.
oh,
That's the only
nice.
way I've ever played because I'm lazy.
Okay.
Expert or the difficult, whatever they call that version, that
That's by ear, someone said in
yeah,
my
that's by
chat last
ear.
night.
That's by ear.
I could not do
Which
that in a minute. Are you musically inclined enough, Ben, to do that?
no.
I mean, I can read sheet music. I can sight read. I was in a lot of choir and chorus, but
Ooh.
I couldn't do that. I couldn't do
Oh.
that. I couldn't do
But you
that.
can't do that.
That was what I sang in 10th grade
You
chorus.
can't do that. You can't do anything for
Thing for
Loom.
Loom.
Uh,
Oh
yeah.
man. Oh
But
man.
you know, the worst thing about Loom, and by the way, I love that it's short. I love that you can
Oh
finish
yeah.
it, and the
Please.
first time you're playing it, you finish it in 2 hours. What a wonderful gift!
Yes, thank you, Brian Moriarty.
Um
Thank
uh,
you, Lucasfilm.
but uh, the I think maybe the knock on it is that it ends on a cliffhanger that is never ever resolved.
Yeah, the sales did not warrant a sequel in this
Another game
case.
came out that year, and they were like, oh, this is
P-
what we are doing now.
Yeah, people are really responding to this wannabe pirate.
This is yeah. This is another thing that I really like about Loom, and I believe this came up when we were doing the bracket. Is what I like about Loom is also that it's not a comedy, and I think it the most it has is I would say maybe a light chuckle,
Yes.
and it's
There's some
not
funny characters that aren't
yeah
telling jokes. They're just sort of they have interesting, you know, voices for their dialogue. I mean, like just the dialogue is
right.
written in an interesting tone or something like that. You
It's
know, Chaos,
yeah
one of the big villains, is kind of so matter of fact in
right.
his communications. It's good for a chuckle or two, but Chaos isn't telling jokes. It's not
No,
LeChuck. You
it
know, it's not a goofy, silly thing.
it's not, and but it's also not too like self serious. Like
Right.
it doesn't feel like a slog in that way.
Mhm. I
What
mean, you do a couple of murders that get a little serious, but that's just the cost of business for being an adventure game
yeah
protagonist.
um but but one thing that makes it kind of an outlier other than the dig is that it is like you just don't get like the majority of Lucas art films games are comedies. And that includes like Maniac Mansion is like a comedy, like Zach McCracken is a comedy. Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade, they add running gags to.
Yeah, yeah, no, it
Like they
absolutely is. Yeah,
added gags and jokes to.
yeah,
And then Loom is like this like it feels, and I'm saying this in a complimentary way, it feels like a Disney like a Disney children's film.
it's very story booky, you know, and again, in a
Yeah.
positive way. It almost feels like a Caldecott award winning
Yeah.
children's fiction. I mean, it reminds me a bit of something like a light fantasy like the Black Cauldron, not the game, but rather the movie. You know,
I
yeah, I
was
mean,
actually going to say it is actually kind of reminiscent of the Black Cauldron as well. Like, yeah, because like the kid, like he starts out low and then he like because that's a very kind of standard that like the
yeah,
hero's journey for kids.
yeah. No, I mean, and that's charming. Like, I think that fits this game well. The sort and the dreaminess of it all, and it really gets as you get into more surreal elements later with like space swans and things like that. I mean, that dreamy storybook vibe, I think, is part of what really hooked me into Loom. It just has that sort of I don't know, just a different emotional register that you tend to see. Certainly, as you said, in other LucasArts games, which by and large, the adventure games tend to be
Yeah.
comedies to varying degrees of just flat out, this is a platform for jokes versus
Like,
we've thrown some gags in here.
yeah, like Full Throttle isn't like a comedy, but it's pretty funny.
Yeah. And we've said before, Secret of Monkey Island isn't a joke a minute.
No.
But certainly by the time you get to Curse of Monkey Island, it is.
Yeah.
And that's why Curse of Monkey Island's better than Secret of Monkey. I mean, I don't want to relitigate this.
Too late. It's been done.
Oh man.
Yeah, you have
But
to
no,
live with the choice that was made.
I don't
The
feel good with it.
my story with Loom was, and I think I've said this on here, is that I got Loom in I think it was like third or fourth grade.
Hmm.
Uh like when I was in elementary school. And at a birthday party, somebody got me this box collection of like early Lucas games, and it
Hmm.
was Maniac Mansion, Zach McCracken, Indiana Jones: The Last Crusade, Loom, and Secret of Monkey Island.
That is a collection that slaps. I had the next one that had like, oh, here's Sam and Max
Those
and
Lost
Day of the
Treasures.
Tentacle. Yeah,
That was
and
all
Full
on
Throttle.
CD. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like here's a small collection of some of the all-time greatest games ever made for $40. Enjoy. And I'm like, yes, I will. Thank you. This is
I
a treasure trove.
I got that, and I had already had all of those games, but I didn't I had them on disc. So
Same. I didn't have the talkies. Yeah.
that was my talkie upgrade
Oh
when I
man.
got Lost Treasures. The
What
but
amazing compilations those were.
the that collection I beat. So, and I again I think I've talked about this. The manual that came with it had like, so it was one big manual that had the manuals for all of them, so that included like the copy protection stuff, so it had the Grail
Hmm.
diary for Last Crusade, but it also had like these written as the main character walkthroughs that
Oh,
like
you gotta love
were
that.
giving nudges. They weren't. And so that
Yeah.
was like, they were good because they wrote the game as a narrative. And so you could kind of suss out the actions that they were taking by
Hmm.
reading that. And so with the assistance of that, I was able to complete of that collection. I beat Loom, which is also what I think I beat first, and I was fascinated by Loom. It was just
Oh, I
so
bet.
weird. Like it like I just kind of thought about it a lot. Like it just kind of
Yeah.
occupied my mind. Like I was just always thinking about like Loom, like what a what an odd game. Like I was just always thinking about it.
Would you say it loomed large in your childhood?
No, I absolutely wouldn't say that.
Okay, I think I misunderstood what you're trying to say.
And like that first line of like Bobbin like resting under that dying tree, like, and going like the last leaf of autumn.
That's a
Like,
great opening.
yeah, like it's a really good opening.
Yeah, I mean it is iconic.
Yeah, and like him resting under that tree and watching the like seeing the leaf, and the fairy comes up to him. Like that really stuck with me. Loom was probably the first one I beat. Then Secret of Monkey Island, which was Loom was the 16, Secret was the 256, which was
Ah,
interesting.
gotcha.
Then I beat Secret of Monkey Island. And then the third and final game of that collection that I beat was Zach McCracken. Because at that age you have unlimited time for mazes, and I didn't map them. I just wandered around until I would end up somewhere. And when
Man, Zach
you're like,
McCracken.
a 10-year-old or whatever I was, you could just wander around forever. Like it
Yeah,
really, like
I
you're
can
just
throw 60 hours at this game. That's not a
does
problem for
not
me.
matter. Like,
I go to school for like 6 hours a day. What else do I have to
yeah,
do?
like what am I
Yeah,
getting out of that? Like,
yeah. No, but I mean, for me, it was, again, I didn't play this game for the first time until last night. I knew about Loom certainly from Secret of Monkey Island. I suspect the first time I heard of Loom was the, Cobb's appearance. Cobb is a henchman that appears late in the game in Loom. And of course, he also appears in the Scum Bar in the Secret of Monkey Island and has the great Ask Me About Loom and has his, long monologue about the latest masterpiece of fantasy storytelling from Lucasfilm's Brian Moriarty. Classic moment in that game, and beautifully voiced by the
Oh,
time you
the
get to
voice
the
in the
special
special edition.
So good.
Oh, by
So good.
Brian Moriarty.
Oh, that's pretty good. That's pretty good. No, I love
The,
that. I
the
mean,
voices in the like you can quibble about a lot with
yes,
the special edition, but they put their resources in the place where it most mattered in that remake, which was to say the
absolutely.
voices,
Yeah.
which I have more thoughts on, but we'll have to. I'm gonna have to sit on them. Uh,
Yes. No,
because
we'll
we
talk
will
about.
definitely have to have a Secret of Monkey. We'll definitely have to do a series. I mean, one of the main things, like reasons that we did this, was that we realized, you realized, Jess, like we have not actually done an episode specific to one of the Lucas games, and
Yeah,
so
we've talked a lot about Sierra games,
yeah,
and someday we'll talk about like what some of the
Les Manly.
differences between the two. Yeah, we'll talk Less Manly. We're gonna have several episodes about Less Manly, including reading, do a table read of my Less Manly feature film script that I've been working on. As soon as that's complete, we'll do that together. But yeah, for me, I never played this. I think I only knew about it from The Secret of Monkey Island and that whole bit with Cobb there. I may have seen an ad or a review. I knew that the knock on this game was that it was super easy. And I wonder how much of that comes from the parody of it in Space Quest 4, which maybe is, if I didn't learn about Loom from Secret of Monkey Island, I probably learned about it indirectly from the bargain bin
Yeah.
in Space Quest 4. And
Boom.
I pulled up this description.
Yeah.
If you know much about Space Quest 4, dear listener, you know that once you are in the Galaxy Galleria Mall, you could stop by a software store and dig through their bargain bin software. There are a number of parodies of different games. One of them is titled Boom, and it has a cover inspired by Loom. And here's the description, written by the one and only Josh Mandel. This is his description of Boom. Quote, the latest bomb from master storyteller Maury Brian Arty. Boom is a post-Holocaust adventure set in post-Holocaust America after the Holocaust. Neutron bombs have eradicated all life, leaving only you to wander through the wreckage. No other characters, no conflict, no puzzles, no chance of dying, and no interface make this the easiest to finish game yet. Just boot it up and watch it explode. that's kind of savage and kind of wonderful. And I'd be curious to know. I suspect Josh probably appreciated Lib. I don't know that.
I love, like, that's a pretty funny thing, but the start of it is what really gets
yes,
me, which
yes,
is
yes.
the Mad Magazine parody level of saying Morty Brian Arty. Was that it?
Maury Brian Arty.
Maury Brian Arty. That is Mad Magazine level.
Yeah.
And I say that, in a sense where Josh, which, remember, that Hug Patrol is still out there.
Yeah. Coming for
That's
you.
like, I believe uh that you're someone that would take that as a major compliment.
I also like post-Holocaust adventure set
Oh,
in post-Holocaust
yeah,
America after the Holocaust.
yeah,
Nothing
yeah,
like some nuclear Holocaust
yeah.
humor, folks. Yeah, no, that's really good stuff. I mean, uh, everybody knows we stand Josh Mandel here at Quest, but I mean, I do think this was sort of the knock on Loom. And then, for me, part of it was a large function of what games I played were the games that were available at my local Radio Shack. And they
Mhm.
simply stocked a whole bunch of Sierra games and not many LucasArts. I didn't play nearly as many LucasArts growing up until eventually a Software Etc. opened at a mall like an hour from where I lived. I was just sort of dependent on what my Radio Shack had. And my impression is that Radio Shack had a pretty ironclad contract with Sierra at the time. I think they were working very much in tandem, or should I say, in tandium.
Well, that was our podcast about Loom. Thank you for joining us. Do you have anything else to say about Loom?
I loved it. It was fantastic. What a lovely little game. And sometimes you just want a lovely little game. And again, it left me with things to think about. It's a weird world in the best sense. And I've spent all day thinking about Loom. I can only imagine if I was like 8 or 9 when I played this the first time,
Yeah.
how much the world of Loom would consume my thoughts.
Hey, Jess, I just invited the studio audience back in.
Oh,
Could you tell them that joke again, please? The Radio Shack one?
joke?
Yeah,
Oh, the
Radio
rate.
Shack.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
Let's see.
Let's see.
Can you like lead me into it?
Oh yeah, sure. So like
The tandium.
It seems like Sierra and Radio Shack were really lockstep, weren't they?
Yeah, I mean, you could say that they were really in tandem, or maybe you could say in tandium. Even the crickets weren't ready. That's rough. When when the crickets are like, "Is anyone else going to do something?" And they're like, "I guess it's up to us." That's rough. But no, that's a great joke. And if you want to tell us what a great joke that was, the best way to do it is to write us an email at questquestpodcast@gmail.com. You can also go to iTunes. You can go to Spotify. You can go to anywhere else that you might listen to this podcast. Leave us a great review of our jokes. Mention that joke specifically for a 40% off discount at HelloFresh.
Yeah.
Use coupon code Jess's Tandy Joke Was Funny 2025.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much. Shoot us an email. You can leave a comment on our Spotify. There's only one person doing that right now, and you know who you are. I know you're listening to this. Ryan.
Brian Moriarty.
Other people have to comment on there. Can't just have one person leaving comments on all our Spotify's. We have to have at least one other person. So if you are listening to us on Spotify, do the Spotify challenge and be the other person to leave a comment on whatever episode you're listening to.
Spotify challenge.
It's a Spotify challenge.
Spotify challenge.
Oi, mate, I'd like a spot of the Spotify challenge, I would. Now.
Nailed it.
Hold on. So anyway, join us next week when we do an in-depth look at all of the games from the Space Quest 4 bargain bin and give earnest reviews as if they're real to all of them. See you then.